everyone. Today we have our another new episode and we will discuss about the world media visions, about the global media and so on. We have our world famous speaker Mr. Robinderli Jiri and our honorable diplomats Mr. Golam Moshi. Thank you for joining today's sessions. First, I would like to request Mr. Rob Enderley, how does this global media vision aim to improve global communications, information sharing across different culture and nations?
Uh, okay. So if we're establishing world media vision, the one of the ways that information is shared across cultures is through media. The one of the problems we're dealing with right now is media is very polarized, and the funding for media often comes from the very people that you want to have deeper transparency with, not necessarily the people that are interested in providing that transparency. So you have what I would call a fairly deep level of corruption within the media infrastructure that is created by its funding methodology, and we certainly see that here in the United States quite a bit at the moment. Well, one of the big things that happened last night was Stephen Colbert, a comedian that does the nightly show, was forced off the air because he said unpopular things. Well, excuse me, he said popular things about an unpopular president. And when you get the folks that need the oversight having direct control of the media that provides that oversight, then you have a conflict of interest, and that conflict needs to be mitigated or removed. So the otherwise you get too much false information. And in this era of artificial intelligence, we have an awful lot of very believable false information being generated, which are leading people to make bad decisions, either geopolitically or personally, or even with regard to business. I'm particularly concerned on the business side with the rise of cryptocurrency, for instance, and the fact that much of its risk is and continues to be concealed. So the goal of media should be to provide the truth, and it's kind of what it used to be when we lived off newspapers, because they largely were funded by classified ads and relatively individually low revenue advertising, were able to stay moderately independent of the companies and governments that they covered. It varied by paper, but the independence of the media seemed to be far more pronounced, at least in the West, and than it is today. So the goal of media really should be to protect, if my view is to protect their constituency, to protect their audience, to make sure whoever their audience is able to take into account the facts and make viable, accurate decisions based on those facts. That's not the way it is today. But if we were to turn media to what it really should be, it should be largely independent. It should be focused on helping the people that consume it either entertain them, inform them with clear delineations between the two events, or protect them by providing knowledge. And sadly, that's not where we are today.
Mhm. Thank you. Jiri, what you want to discuss about global media and so on?
Yes, hello everybody. I would like to, first of all, I listened to what Rob was saying. Thank you very much. It's very interesting. And I would like to add something from my from my profession. I am an English teacher, and sometimes I use some media articles for my students to learn English. And I am at this moment, I don't know if it's bad or good. I am using CNN, BBC, Al Jazeera, but I'm also using some social media, as to say, on Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, and Instagram, where people are posting some non-mainstream ideas. And the question is, who is right? If the mainstream media is right in certain subjects, which are global, or if the non-mainstream media is right. What is conspiracy theory? What is not conspiracy theory? These questions are interesting for me to discuss with my students during my English lessons. So this is for now my contribution for this, and I would like to hand over back to you, Mr. Sharif.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Golamoshis, you are diplomat and you are from Bangladesh. What's your thoughts about media vision, global media, and so on? Mr. Golam Mushi.
Hello.
Mr. Golam Mushi.
Yes.
Yeah,
Good, good evening from Bangladesh. It's good to see you, our esteemed guest. I would like to join later. Let me hear from your opinion first, and I will be happy to join or make my statements and opinion later on. If you can continue, I'll be more
okay.
happy to join. Okay. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Fred, what's your thoughts about this media visions? How it can improve global communications and cross-cultural issues?
Dr. Sharif and distinguished guests, thank you all for being here. And I'm a little late to the show, so whatever Rob said, I agree with it. It's obvious we're dealing with multinational areas where people speak different languages, have different concepts and principles. So it has to be something that start from the basics of just something to agree on. What's real and what's not. How do we separate the lies from the reality and use that as a basis for forming a coalition between governments and countries and people without feeling like we're running over somebody and forgetting those who really need us. A lot of it would have to do with education, the differences between education and levels of the education between the general populace and who's delivering a message. Is the message going to come from a government, or is it going to come from the people outside of the government, or is it a religious or secular institutions that's going to decide what's something of common value between us? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Rob, as you are a strategist, so what strategies does Global Media Vision use to promote accurate, transparent, responsible media worldwide? Specifically, right now, we have a lot of misinformation and disinformations, how we can overcome from the situations.
All right. So one of the ways to fix the problem is clean up the revenue source so that parties don't have undue influence over the content. So the content remains fact-based, not based on whoever's funding the media source. And that there is a higher level of protection for these media sources from government influence. That's a difficult dance because you want to prevent media from producing or releasing stories that are untrue or damaging. But on the other hand, you want to make sure that the media is allowed to report stories that are true and maybe damaging to individuals that otherwise have a lot of power. So to correct the power imbalance. And then once you can address that, then media needs to shift from kind of the whack-a-mole approach to dealing with issues and more of a systems analyst approach, where they're pointing out some of these undue influences. They're not just taking their sources at face value. They're looking at how these sources are funded and where the influence is coming from. So, for instance, we just had an election this last week, and a sitting politician was removed largely through the funding of a foreign country, and as a result of the funding from a foreign country. So basically, a foreign country was directly meddling in our politics. That's the kind of thing that really can't be allowed, and where media can serve is pointing out that relationship with enough advanced time so it can inform the voters so they know that they're being influenced by a foreign country. They might still vote the same way, but they have a right to know that the influence, the information they're receiving is being specifically used to manipulate them. And media really should be more of an entity to inform, not necessarily an entity to manipulate. Now, I say not necessarily. Media does have and could have a role to manipulate people for good, but a lot of controls have to be on that, because if they're being manipulated by hostile entities, then the outcome's going to be bad. If they're being manipulated by beneficial entities, well, the outcomes could still be bad for individuals if they don't know the foundation for that manipulation. And so making sure there's a certain amount of transparency in the process, allowing people to take whether the information is foreign sourced, domestically sourced, good or bad, allowing people to make that determination with facts. And so media becomes becomes more of a systems analyst, explaining what the position is, where it came from, who funded it, and whether or not it's going to benefit you individually with some level of granularity. Now, right now, AI is working against us because it's generating an awful lot of false stuff. But AI could also be used to help us, because it's very capable of doing the things that I've indicated. It can scan massive amounts of data. It can make determinations based on the source of that data of what's accurate and what's not accurate, and it can operate very granularly in terms of that mass. And it learns and can learn about you over time, so it can give you specific advice that allows you to spend your vote, spend your money, spend your activity in the way that would best benefit you. But it has to be used that way. If it's not, then it simply becomes a weapon against good judgment, as opposed to a tool that assures it.
Mhm. Thank you. Jiri, what's your thoughts about this accurate information, transparent and responsible media worldwide?
This is very important. These words are very important. It's a very good question. Thank you for it. I believe that discussions like this are very important, that we are meeting here globally and we are discussing this subject. That's the good start, and it's very good. I was thinking recently with my friend and good colleague Radim. He is my friend from the Czech Republic. We are now establishing our own IFB radio, International Freelance Business Radio. It will be a place to discuss things, discuss collaborations, discuss business cooperations, interesting podcasts for people, and so on. So this is a media too. So I'm trying to establish my own media at the moment. And yes. Very important is discussion, I believe, because education for people is important. I am a teacher originally, and I have been teaching for 30 years. So educating our children in a good way, transparent way, accurate way, this is very important. Talking with each other about these things, discussing democratically, and being open, being transparent. This is very important. This is my message. I am passing over back to you, Mr. Sharif.
Thank you, Professor Dev. As you are Green Actioneer, so what's your thought about global media? How global media can promote green action, real climate information, and so on?
I think it's incumbent on us as creators of information and programs to put things into bite-sized pieces that the media can pick up and distribute easily. And that's the hardest part right now, because it's so easy to be wordy and make a big document, or to take too many words to tell a simple story. So I think that it's really incumbent on us to narrow it down and make our stories as concise and punchy as possible, because these days the attention span is so short. So I think we all need lessons on taking our big messages and making them short, small, punchy, and appropriate. And then the major media are not the major media anymore. I have young friends who have never listened to radio or watched TV. They get all their information from influencers. And so it's really important that we not only make all our messages concise, but that we get them into the right channels. And now the channels have changed. It's no longer ABC, NBC, CBS, and CNN. Now it's this guy over here, whoever he is, who has my attention. And that's the big tripwire that we have to avoid now, is that we get our information, A, into the wrong hands, or B, it's just not getting out there because we're trying to aim too high. So because in my experience, I've found that change, to be universal and to really be effective, doesn't start at the top and trickle down. It starts at the bottom and bubbles up. So how do we get our information, for instance, in my case, about saving energy, saving water, saving money, going green, having a clean green future? How do I get this into the minds of as many people as possible? So that's why what we do is we work through elementary and middle schools, working with the youngest population, but never without their parents' involvement, so that we work with families, not kids, because we want the parents and the kids to talk about these things, to move them forward as a family. And it's my hypothesis that the way we're going to change the world is not from the top down, but from the bottom up. And the way we get these folks involved is with simple messaging that's through the channels that they pay attention to, which have changed. So that's the big conundrum right now, is how do we take our messages, which are important, and get them into the minds of the people who are actually going to implement them, make the change, and as a consequence, change society.
Excellent. Mr. Fred, what you want to discuss about this media strategy, contributions, and so on?
I think we may have hit on something with the idea of influencers. If we can use influencers at a local level, like I said, in grade school, intermediate school, find the people that others will listen to. Maybe have a way of those people communicating with each other to deliver the message to all their peers, including like I said, the parents also in delivering the message. You're talking about the future of how you're going to get it out to people to separate. So like we're talking the lies from the realities. How can we use this to guide what future we want by including all educational systems? And then from there to even establish civic groups that can go over potential material for release, decide what's going to help and what won't. It's going to be, like you said, sorry, from the bottom up, but the logistics of that are going to be pretty hard to handle. Like without using influencers and without using the web to get the message out. So,
well, I want to bring up an instance that worked. When I was in South Korea in the 1960s, I was helping the Korean government to start their national family planning program. And the first thought was, we're going to order them to have small family size. They're having 6 children, they should only have 2. Let's order them to have small family size. But the foreign community, several of us who were advising said, well, why don't we try a different approach? Why don't we educate the young women of childbearing age, and we'll give them a message, and we'll let them take it out to the village. We trained 29,000 young women in 1966, 7, 8. We trained 29,000 young women, and they had a message. And the message was, girls are as good as boys. 2 are enough. Space them well and get them a good education. So now we look at South Korea and what happened from 1966 when I got there until today. The average per capita income went from $800 a year to $35,000 a year. Same thing happened in Taiwan, right next door, where I also worked. The preference for sons disappeared. Now, if you ask a Korean couple, would you like a son or a daughter? They either go, we don't care, either one is okay, or they say, a daughter. Well, it used to be a son. Why did it change? Because daughters take care of their family in the old age. And the couples are thinking about that now. They used to think about, oh, my son can be in the military, or my son can be a doctor, or my son can be an important government official. But now they say, oh, I want a daughter. She'll take care of me when I'm old. So son preference went away. The average family now has 1 or 2 children. In fact, they don't have enough to reproduce their population. So it was too effective. But the reason it was so effective was because we didn't do what they then did later. See, I was there in the 60s. In 1971, China looked at what we were doing and they said, oh, we can do the same thing. We'll order people to have 1 child. And they did. And they had the 1-child policy. And it was destructive to the nth degree because daughters disappeared. They got shipped overseas. They became orphans. So how do you change a culture? Well, you probably have to do both. You have to have something at the top that is working to help people to make a good decision. But the decision makers are all at the bottom. So you've got to start with the local people. So I'm sorry to intervene again, but it's a good example.
You brought up a good point. In Korea, it was a voluntary mechanism where the people choose to do it on their own and followed the guidance, where in China, they were ordered to do it.
Right.
And nobody wants to be ordered to do something like that. You have to implement it into the local culture, have the people generate and give them a positive reason why. And in the case of Korea, I would imagine the level of intellect went up with a level of education of these people as right there with them. They chose to do that on their own without being told to do it.
Yeah. And that's what we're trying to do with our Green Actioneers program. We're working in elementary schools to get the elementary school kids and their parents to become sustainable. And what we call it is become indigenous again.
That's where the influencers come in.
Yep. Yeah. So if we can tie the influencers into our household by household project, then I think we'll have accomplished something.
Thank you. Mr. Ghulam Moshi, can you contribute now? What your thought about global media? Can you unmute yourself, Mr. Ghulam Moshi?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks. Good evening. Nice to hear you. And really, it's something new I have learned today. First of all, one thing I have to agree, because media was previously controlled by the government or by few channels like CNN or ABC or BBC. But now there are hundreds of channels everywhere. So media, you are having correct information as well as incorrect information. But now the young generation, through AI and other means, they can hear the news of the both sides of the coin. Previously, it was very much one-sided, but now it is very much available. If you don't agree with this point, you can go to another channel. So it is now more, I should say, uh, uh, hundreds of information you can come across. Media can play, of course, a very important role, whether it's a politics or whether it's economy, whether it's the environment. As you rightly said, that uh, in, in my country, Bangladesh, media plays a very important role in environment as well, especially with the country where cyclone and tornado or flood is very frequent. The media, there are quite a number of responsible media who makes, the people alert beforehand it takes place. So there are the positive side of also of media. The negative side of the media is they try to tarnish even some good news or some good people. They try to tarnish it into to their expectation or their taste. And I've also learned that yes, media is also been influenced externally also. Someone is funding some media to project their ideology of their plan and program. But I think things are changing very fast. Our young generation, they know they can uh, 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 judge themselves which is the correct news, which is the incorrect news. And I think with the AI coming in more in the coming days, of course, someone has said that AI also gave some, incorrect news. But I think things are changing very fast because AI is not limited to only one or two groups. There are, in the coming days, we will see artificial intelligence from various parts of the world as well. Now, the Chinese also came up with their, channel. The West is also there. India is also coming very fast. So I think people will have the choice to judge which is correct, which is beneficial, which is not beneficial, which is incorrect, which is could be useful. So I think things are going. New media is undergoing through various stage of correction, and which will be helpful for the I think human being in the coming days. I am very much optimistic that media can play a very important role, and as rightly said, that the Korean example, and it is also happening in my country also. Previously, you see, our average family was 5. Now it has came down to 3. So, and it was also because of media. So many information in the past 2 decades came up. So now people are happy with 2 or 3. They don't go for 5 or 7. So media also played a very important role. But I think the most important thing, I think, Dr. Sharif, I thank you that you could bring in a single forum of our esteemed speakers. This exchange of views and opinions can make a lot of correction, a lot of we can disseminate our information, our knowledge. This is very important. Many things I came to know, which is I didn't know about, the Korean example or the Taiwan example. It is something, it is very good to know. And I think we should keep on, discussion among ourselves, sharing our knowledge, sharing our experience. That is very important. And of course, media will, go, as I mentioned, is going through a correction, and definitely media will be in the coming days will be more responsible because now world is open. It was not limited to 1 or 2 satellite channel or 5 news channel. It is open very much, and anybody can launch satellite news or TV with a very small budget even these days. And YouTube is available, which is also free of charges. So I think uh, I'm optimistic that in the coming days we'll see more responsible media, responsible opinion and informative for the welfare of the people as well. So, but I would request Dr. Sharif and his colleagues that let us keep this our discussion ongoing in the coming days, and so that we can know a lot about and share a lot of our experience. That's very important. But I thank you all. It was very, I should say, important things we have learned. Like Bangladesh, we used to have one TV channel, which was a government TV channel 20 years back. Now we have more than 30 private TV channel. Now the people, they don't trust the government channel. They have the choice to go and see the other channels as well. And I think in the coming days also, we'll see more channels coming up with more ideas, more vision, more informative, covering more, I should say, environment, because environment is a very important issue. Social service is going to be a very important matters, because in the coming days, we'll need more social services for the welfare and improvement of the life of the common people. So I think let us work together and make it a successful, I should say, project to come share our experience for the benefit of the people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ghulam Mushiz. As you are diplomat, so your experience always valuable for us. Specifically, you long time, I think 6 years, you perform in Saudi Arabia. So this may be very interesting experience for our World Talent Economic Forum. That's why we invite you in our World Talent Economic Forum board of advisor. Everyone in our board member. Mr. Rob Enderle, my next question for you: how media can contribute to connecting innovations, educations, media, public awareness, and the global in a global scale? What's your thought?
Well, media is an information platform, but the best way to do that, to be able to inform on a variety of technologies, is develop a certain core expertise in those technologies. We kind of did that a bit in the 90s when the personal computer was coming forward. We had a lot of programs that had technology experts, technology analysts. I had my own program back then. So you had people that were talking about subjects that they had some subject matter expertise in. And we've kind of lost that over time. Now we have reporters that can report on, self-driving cars and robots in the morning, farming in the afternoon, and government policy in the evening. And they're not experts on any of those things. And the end result is that they have a hard time parsing the information. And I heard the earlier comments using influencers. And the problem with influencers is they very often don't know what the hell they're talking about either. And even to a greater degree, these are folks that are just trying to get clicks. And I was watching a video the other day about what the guy that was doing comparisons of personal computers, and a young kid, probably in his late teens, early 20s, but he fundamentally didn't understand what he was doing, and so that makes it very difficult for the information to flow through with any type of efficacy. Or effectiveness. Because you kind of know it's the blind leading the blind, and it's not necessarily what you want to have when you're talking about anything that's important. If you're talking about the medical procedures, you kind of want somebody that understands the medical procedures. If you're talking about technology, you want somebody that kind of at least understands the fundamentals of the technology you're talking about. Otherwise, they're just going to say stupid stuff. And if you're talking to an audience that also doesn't know anything about the material, then you have, as I said, the blind kind of leading the blind, and that can lead to a lot of really bad decisions going forward. I think here we've seen that happen most with regard to vaccines, where you just get so much misinformation about the underlying parts that people that should be getting vaccinated aren't, and now it looks like we're facing another Ebola problem here, which is kind of scary. So in the end, it really helps to make sure that the sources are informed and at least have some basics in terms of understanding the material they're talking about. And that way they are much better able, even if they are independent, which often they're not, but even if they are independent, to provide information that people can use and depend upon. I think of kind of the Walter Cronkite model more than the model.
Where is
Yeah,
Walter?
thank you, Jiri.
He did.
Yeah, Jiri, what's your thoughts about media contributions for innovation, education, and public awareness?
Yes, yes. I'm listening carefully. And this is a very interesting discussion. I believe that I would like to start with the community leadership. Why am I talking about this? Because at the moment, even we are here broadcasting live to a community of people, and this is also our message. So it's kind of a media too. We are educating people in a positive way, I believe, and this community leadership is important for me because I try to educate myself in it. I try to build communities which are meaningful, and I try to broadcast to those communities my message, which and the discussion to raise awareness, to raise discussion, and so on. So community building is very important, I think, these days. As was Dave mentioning, the influencers, I agree with that as well. And my next project is on YouTube. It's a message for the future generation, which is my new project. And this is also important to leave some kind of a message for the future generation, which is upcoming, so that not only our children, but children of our children can listen to our message, which we are giving maybe even now. So this is my message. Thank you very much, guys. I give back to Mr. Sharif.
Thank you. Mr. Dev, I know that you can many things you can share about innovation, education, and public awareness. How
Yeah.
media can play a role. How? Yes. Dave.
It's me. Well,
Yes.
what I'm right now working with the University of Central Florida, and I have 6 volunteer interns, and my job this summer is going to be to turn them on to this whole idea, and get my 6 interns working on creating a channel, and I'm not sure where it's going to be, where we can tell people about the Green Actioneers program and have it be replicable at the local level, and have some mechanisms by which people will not only learn about it, but do it themselves, and then come up and repeat the process. So the idea is to create a replicable model of communication for the program, so that the program will not only be promoted by myself, but by anybody who takes it on. And that may be the media approach of the future, because everything is so personalized now. The reason this comes to mind is because my son doesn't believe the things that I believe. Well, why not? Because he's under the sway of people who he has heard and seen on his media. Well, what media is he using? He's using one of these. This is it. And so he doesn't do what we're doing today. He's in his late 30s, and he lives on this thing. And so if it's not on here, he's not going to learn it. And so my goal is to make sure that all those kids who I see going like this constantly have something wise that's at the end of their fingertip, so that they're not just scrolling, doom scrolling, but they're hope scrolling, and that they're finding things that are important for them and for us, because I think we have to as we said just a moment ago, the blind leading the blind. I think we've got to create glasses for these blind people. And so the glasses are these little snippets of positive information that they can get through the people who we work with, who then work with others who bring it to them. Because Walter Cronkite ain't coming back. I wish he were, because we do need gurus at the top who will tell us the truth. But I saw Stephen Colbert's farewell last night, and I went, oh my goodness, the system got rid of him because he was critical. And so we can't be critical from the top without having too much attention. So let's be critical from the bottom. Let's bring it from the bottom up. And so that's why I work with elementary school families and middle school families. We got to prepare the next generation. And we're not going to prepare them by hammering from the top. We're only going to prepare them by cultivating from the bottom. So that's been my plea since my experience in Korea in the 60s, is we have to mobilize local people to work with local people, to work with regional people, to work with national people, rather than try to do it the other way around. National people, I think, for instance, we're into COP 31 this year, Congress of Parties 31. But if I'm in an elementary school talking to the parents and I say, what is COP 30? They'll go, I don't know, maybe 30 policemen? You go, well, it's a meeting that's taken place every year for 30 years. And they'll go, oh, really? I never heard of that. Well, why? Because their media is not our media. So if we want to get messages to people, we got to figure out what is their media. How do we get the message to them? How do we get that parent of an elementary school kid from some rural place in the US to understand the message that we're trying to impart? And it isn't going to come through the major media, and it's not going to come through the government. It's going to come from the bottom up. So how do we get down there and talk to them? That's the biggest question, I think, of the age, because the media has changed entirely. Walter Cronkite is gone.
Yeah. Thank you. Mr. Fred, what you want to discuss about these educations and innovations? Mr. Fred.
Well, I'd like to draw a line between Dave and Rob. I agree with Rob about influencers being on there just for clicks, but I'm not looking for that type of influence. I'm looking for the one who has the outreach to the people, who is willing to follow the guidelines of, say, a national organization, an API or something, that deals out the truth. And this is like what Dave said, where we have a volunteer system rather than being told what to do. And it won't be hard to distinguish between those who are putting on the clicks just to get advertising medium and those who have a real message to put out. I spent a lot of time on science websites, and I run into plenty of people who have their various opinion about something, even though they know absolutely nothing about it. And on the other side, those who have something to say who are being silenced. But it's like we said, we need to start with a younger generation than what we have now, because you're retraining people. I've heard Walter Cronkite mentioned several times. I like to compare. I like Rob as if he's the Walter Cronkite of this group, because he gives a message across in an unbiased manner, which is what we need to do with the same people we're talking about, the ones who are going to go out and tell others what's real and what's not. Reaching out to the children first, and through them, finding the parents that are interested in doing something about this, who will help with the media around the world.
Yeah, I want to bring up one other thing that happened just last night, and it just blew me away. I was over at Rollins College here in Orlando, Florida, and I saw a statue that was put up about 6 years ago. I didn't know it was there, and I stumbled on it. It's Mr. Rogers, and he's sitting on a chair surrounded by children, and he is giving the children hope and messages that are positive for sure. And then I think about one of my friends who's been running a blog for years on climate change, and it's so negative. Every time you go on there, it's all this gloom scrolling, and I'm like, I don't want to listen to this. I stumbled on a woman who does a wonderful farming blog or gardening blog. She's got tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of followers, whereas the one who's talking about climate change has 100 followers and has been doing it for years. So really a lot of it has to do with getting trained to be a good media person, to be able to be dynamic, to get them on board. So if we're going to be the ones, or if we're going to train young people to be the ones to bring the new messages out there, we've got to train them appropriately to be good on camera, to really make a good story. In our day, you could sit and listen to an hour lecture. Nobody does that anymore. It's all 5 seconds, 7 seconds at the most before the scene has to change. That's why they wander around with their phones, talking into their phone. So you see all that stuff behind you. It keeps you attentive. And so how do we do that? That's the training we need, is how to become and stay entertaining and educational at the same time. So that's a big mission for us.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for joining today. Like, you are expert of collaboration. So why international collaborations important to this global media and for this global communications, and how does it work?
What we're facing right now is basically the fifth industrial revolution, and this one involves technology, which is all based upon information. And of course, whenever we go through any one of these revolutions, there's unfortunately likely to be a war. And part of that has to do with those that have a lot of money realizing that data is going to be the new coin, and that things such as gold, silver, platinum, jewels from underneath the soil, which they've been working with for years, will cease to have value. Basic information is going to be where the value is. So, and for those of you who don't know, my name is Lisa Anise Sutphin. My title is Dame. I work with a division of the UN called UNESCO, and I'm the Global Outreach Director for UnityNet International. Presently, I've got 4,800 plus contacts in over 50 nations, 33 of which are already inside of the UnityNet. I've acted as the liaison officer for discussions for peace in the DR Congo with Rwanda and the United States. Now, certainly everybody knows that the United States is on the verge of a civil war because of groups from the outside that managed to get into our systems and kind of mess with them a little bit, which those of you who are in the European zone are quite familiar with, because they've had to deal with this on their own over the last, well, since the Second World War. So what we're looking at right now is a series of revolutions that we're going to be seeing everywhere, where whatever wealth that is underneath the soil in all these nations, these 20 zones of war, will not have the value that it once had, and where information is going to be incredibly key to survival, not just of individual groups, but of our planet as a whole. So moving forward with all of this, what we're looking at, and very much, I believe Dave said it best, is that information, training people how popularity isn't the same as truth. And that obviously the most fantastic stories you can come up with are going to get you attention, but how long will that attention last? For those of us who are out there trying to build and restore, maybe we don't have a lot of people that we're working with right now, but they gather because there are many of us out there that have the same goals in mind. And I'm more than happy to say hello to everybody, including Jerry Bork, because I speak with him all the time on these subjects, and how with these collaborative systems that are being formed, where the information of individual groups that have been acting as charities, desperately struggling to work with their own, start to find that once they start to collaborate, the information that they gather every single day can actually be used to negotiate for land, buildings, tools, equipment, services of all kinds, not to mention a lowering of prices, because data is incredible. And data has an awful lot of power. The World Health Organization a couple years back announced that the 8 billionth person had been born on this planet. Well, I can tell you right now, every country that I know that holds a census doesn't count everybody. What it is a bunch of political theater with politicians banging and pounding pulpit on who they refuse to count, meaning not everybody gets counted. This is information that we desperately need all around the world so that we can do the job that we've been meant to do, which is help each other. And moving all of that forward into creating these possibilities. And of course, I can only reference myself and the work that I do, which has been sensitizing these groups in nations that have been pounded to pieces by constant conflict, mass migration, all because of the wealth underneath their soil in terms of oil, gas, gold, jewels, anything that you can name. By showing them how we've been able to, as nonprofit collaboratives on a national level, been able to exchange information back and forth, getting everything that we need for our communities, and do what we've meant to do since the 1800s, help each other. That simple. Now that we're in the internet age, and we have nations that are now coming into this thing of, it's not just a phone, it's a computer, and that computer literacy. You have those people who are deciding that what they're going to take is going to be in bits and pieces. Those who have decided that they don't want to think too hard and they want to use their computer to think for them. What we're going to see is a lot of these adjustments. Right now, we're going through that adjustment of all those who stepped up right away to take our money and run are now being put to task. And those at the very top, the millionaires, the billionaires, the government authorities are going to find that pretty soon their power is going to start to drop. As this information starts to get passed back and forth without their ability to intervene. And this is information where we can reach across those borders that they have created for their own power and their own lust to be able to do what we've always wanted to do. Help each other, standardize a number of systems, bring back systems that were lost. So I could say a lot more, but I have a class I'm teaching in 8 minutes and I need to set up the room, as you can see. But thank you for giving me the opportunity to say my piece. And if you want to be able to contact me, talk to Jiri. He'll give you my information, and he has my permission to do so. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Mr. Rob, what's your closing remarks for today's session?
Media is an important part of both the problem and solution for many of the issues we're dealing with today. A lot of folks just aren't making good decisions because they're not getting good information. And part of the core issue is we just don't teach kids to look at information and challenge it. Critical thinking is the term I was looking for as I made this sense. And so part of a core curriculum, I think, needs to be critical thinking. To challenge your information sources. If something seems strange, you will ask about it. But if something agrees with your thinking, you need to ask about that as well. because that's how folks fool you. The way a con artist works, and I've known a number over the years, help put a few of them out of business. Over time, that what they do is they tell you what you want to hear, and they turn your own mind against you. So critical thinking skills are incredibly important. And if we just did one thing and taught kids critical thinking, I think a lot of these underlying issues would be resolved. And critical thinking needs to be part of, and it was part of every reporter's training back in the day. And get the sense that because people are being thrown into these roles without much formal training, that's not really happening right now. So I would argue, as a closing remark, if we truly want to start fixing this, then we start with training kids to critically think, to challenge their sources, particularly the ones that they appear to agree with, and make the decisions on their own, and not necessarily just take the advice of others. News programs have kind of changed from providing the news to providing opinion. I'm one of the pundits that does the opinion thing, but we've gone way too far in that direction, and we need to really kind of go back to basics and help the individual people in the population be able to think critically and make decisions in their own best interest. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Jiri, what's your closing remarks for today?
I would like to just say that I'm grateful for this discussion. Thank you very much. I must run now, and I would like to greet everybody and wish you a pleasant day. Thank you very much, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Mr. Golam, Mr. Dave, what's your closing remarks?
I've got to go, so I'm just going to say thanks a lot, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you. Mr. Fred, what's your closing remarks?
The biggest thing we've all touched on here together, we all agree that it's education of the people that's going to get us through this. Separating the wheat from the chaff and giving them the information they need to make proper decisions, and try and take it out of the hands of the politicians who are all self-serving. Get something together, meaningful discussion and dialogue across all borders. And, Rob, Dr. Golam, Dr. Sharif, I appreciate y'all allowing me in this conversation today, and I always look forward to hearing Rob every week. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Golamushi, what's your closing remarks for today?
Right. Thank you for hosting this discussion. This is a very important discussion, as you say, and I think it should be continued. We came to know many of the various aspects and direction of the media. I think this is a very interesting and very important topic for today's world. What is most important is that in the coming days, or the present days, the human values, we need to embed our human values, what our parents and grandfather has taught us. It should be given and passed on to our coming generation and the children, so they can understand the importance of human values, whether it is religious or non-religious, but human values should be embedded in the young generation. Otherwise, they won't be able to differentiate which is good or which is bad, which is better for the welfare of the people or not the welfare. So I think we should keep on continue sharing with them the importance of human values through media, to whatever way we can. Because I can see the human values, the importance of human values, knowledge about human values, may be declining among the young generation. They became more practical, more, I think, robotic. I think that should not overtake the importance of human values. I think that we should also try to see that human values is very much there, and we all should project those human values and pass on to a new generation and the coming generation. Thank you very much. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Fred. Thank you, Dr. Sharif.
Thank you, Mr. Golamushi. Thank you, Mr. Rob, and thank you, Mr. Fred, and all of our speakers. I request all of our audience, please share our content with the government agency, corporation, and academia. Thank you. Bye-bye, and take care.